They offered Caitlin Clark a seat at the table, but it wasn't the seat she deserved. They wanted her at the end, wearing someone else's name, reduced to a number on the bench. This isn't just a story about basketball. It's about power. It's about jealousy.
Every player in the WNBA is jealous of Caitlin Clark.
It's about a moment designed to break one of the most electrifying athletes in the world, and how Caitlin Clark's quiet defiance sent shockwaves through an entire league. What happened next didn't just change a roster. It changed the conversation. Number 12, scandal. Let's rewind. When the Team USA roster for the Summer Games was being finalized, the entire basketball world assumed one name was a lock: Caitlin Clark, the woman who shattered NCAA records, the woman who single-handedly doubled WNBA viewership.
Communicates her thoughts very, very well. She is so incredibly marketable.
The woman whose jersey outsells every other player in the league combined. But behind closed doors, the selection committee had other plans. Leaks from inside the process now suggest that before the final roster was announced, Clark was presented with an offer. Not a real spot, not a starting role, a glorified alternate position with conditions attached that read more like a humiliation ritual than a basketball opportunity. The most damaging detail is the jersey number. They allegedly told her she'd wear number 12. Now, if you don't follow basketball culture closely, that might sound harmless. It is not. Number 12 in hoops is the number you hand to the last body on the bench. It's the number that says you're filler, not a factor. It's the sports equivalent of being invited to a wedding, but told to sit in the parking lot. Think about what that says about the people making this decision. They sat in a room, looked at the most marketable athlete their sport has ever produced, and decided the best move was to hand her a number that screams irrelevance. This was not an oversight. This was calculated. This was a room full of people who decided that putting a rookie in her place was more important than putting the best possible product on the world stage. And here's the thing. Caitlin Clark isn't just any player wearing any number. She is number 22. That number is tattooed on the culture. It's on the jerseys of little girls in every state in America. It's in the record books from Iowa to Indianapolis. You don't take that number away from her any more than you'd take 23 from Jordan or 99 from Gretzky. So when the committee floated this idea, they weren't offering her a spot. They were offering her a demotion dressed up in a team jacket. They were saying, you can come, but you'll come small. You'll come quiet. You'll stand behind Diana Taurasi and Breanna Stewart, and you will know your place. That was the deal, and Caitlin Clark's answer was silence. She didn't accept. She didn't make a scene. She simply disappeared from the conversation, and the committee took that silence as permission to cut her entirely. Cunningham breaks silence. Now here is where the story takes a turn nobody saw coming. The media has spent the entire season painting a picture of Caitlin Clark versus the WNBA, the scrappy rookie against the bitter veterans. Every hard foul, every cold shoulder, every post-game non-answer has been weaponized into this narrative that the league hates its own golden goose. And to be fair, some of that is earned, but the entrance of Sophie Cunningham into this saga rewrites the entire script. Cunningham plays for the Phoenix Mercury.
Phoenix leading at fast break point 7-0. Too much dribbling. Cunningham with the shot clock at 5.
She's not a media darling. She doesn't get endorsement deals. She is a grinder, the kind of player who dives for loose balls and takes charges and earns every single minute she gets on the floor. She is also one of the toughest competitors in the league, someone who has never once backed down from confrontation. So when reports surfaced that Cunningham was disgusted by the way Clark was treated during the selection process, that she allegedly pushed back against the politics and refused to participate in the league's anti-Clark narrative, it was an earthquake. Because this is not some fan theory from Twitter. This is not Reddit speculation or a hot take from a podcast nobody listens to. This is a player inside the system, a woman who earns her paycheck in the same league, a crew who walks the same hallways and sits in the same film sessions, saying through her actions that what happened to Caitlin Clark was wrong. And that carries a weight that no amount of fan outrage can match. And that changes everything. It validates what millions of fans have been screaming into the void for months. It tells them they're not crazy. Even the players see it. Even the people who compete against Clark, who want to beat her every night on the court, or can recognize the difference between competition and cruelty. Cunningham's stance, whether it's a verbal protest or a quiet refusal to co-sign the establishment's behavior.
Caitlin Clark got destroyed. Her girl Sophie came to her defense, and this was the most beast mode thing that I've seen a woman do in WNBA history.
Represents something much bigger than one player's opinion. It represents a fracture, a crack in the old guard's wall. Because if one player is willing to speak up, there are probably 5 more thinking the same thing who just haven't found the courage yet. Clark too powerful to really understand why this happened. You have to understand the psychology of the people who made the decision. The Team USA Selection Committee is not some neutral panel of basketball scientists running algorithms. It is a group of former players, coaches, and administrators who are deeply embedded in the old WNBA. They view the national team as a reward, a gold watch for decades of service. You put in the years, you earn the jersey. That is the culture. And for a long time, that culture worked because nobody was watching anyway. But Caitlin Clark broke the formula. She walked into the league as a rookie and commanded more attention in her first month than most veterans received in their entire careers. She didn't wait her turn. She didn't kiss the ring. She just played basketball at a level that made the entire world stop and stare. And the gatekeepers could not handle it. And they could not process a reality in which someone who had been in the league for 5 minutes commanded more attention than players who had given 15 years of their lives to building it from the ground up. And instead of recognizing that Clark's rising tide would lift every single boat in the harbor, they tried to sink hers before it left the dock. Diana Taurasi set the tone before the season even started with her now infamous comments about a reality check.
WNBA fans, reality is coming. What do you see? The GOAT, the heir apparent?
It was a warning shot. A message to Clark and to the fans that the veterans were not going to roll out a red carpet for the rookie, no matter how many records she broke. And the selection committee followed that energy right off a cliff. They talked about defensive chemistry and international experience and turnover rates. They dressed up a personal grudge in basketball language and expected the world to nod along. But the world did not nod. The world erupted. Because when you actually look at the numbers, the basketball argument collapses. Clark's offensive production, her passing, her ability to generate attention and energy for every team she plays, those things are not debatable. There were players on that Olympic roster who played fewer minutes and had less statistical impact than Clark would have provided coming off the bench. The committee didn't leave her off the team because she wasn't good enough. They left her off because she was too big, too bright, too impossible to control. The million-dollar mistake. Now let's talk about money, because this is where the decision goes from petty to genuinely baffling. The WNBA is a business. It has spent years, decades, fighting for survival. Players have marched for better pay, for chartered flights, for basic respect. They have begged the world to care about women's basketball. And then Caitlin Clark arrived and the world cared. She sells out arenas weeks in advance. She moves merchandise at a rate the league has never seen.
As we all know, Caitlin Clark has changed the face of the WNBA, whether it's ticket sales.
And always she turns regular season games into appointment television. She is not just a player, she is a revenue engine. And the Olympic Games were the single biggest marketing platform on earth. A chance to put the future of women's basketball on a global stage in front of billions of viewers. A chance to convert casual Olympic watchers into lifelong WNBA fans. And instead of putting their best product in the window, the committee locked it in the warehouse because they didn't like the packaging. Sports economists have estimated that Clark's exclusion cost the league and its broadcast partners millions of dollars in lost revenue, lost engagement, and lost opportunity. And for what? To protect the feelings of a handful of veterans who were afraid the spotlight might shift. That is not leadership. That is self-sabotage on an institutional level. The jersey number 12 detail makes it even worse because it proves they knew she was good enough to be on the team. They were willing to include her. They just wanted to include her on their terms. Small, quiet, controllable. And when she wouldn't shrink herself to fit their comfort zone, they erased her entirely. Marketing experts have called this one of the greatest unforced errors in modern sports management. You had the golden ticket and you shredded it because the person holding it didn't bow low enough. Every brand deal that didn't happen, on every international fan who tuned out when they didn't see Clark's name on the roster, every young girl who watched the Olympics and didn't see her hero on the court, that is the real cost. Not just in dollars, but in cultural momentum. The WNBA had a once-in-a-generation moment to explode into the mainstream, and the committee treated it like an inconvenience. The weapon of silence. Here is what the committee underestimated most. They expected a reaction. They expected Caitlin Clark to complain, to go public, to give them something they could use against her. If she had thrown a fit about jersey number 12, they would have called her entitled. If she had demanded a starting role, they would have called her a diva. If she had said anything at all, they would have twisted it into proof that she wasn't ready for the big stage. But she gave them nothing. Absolute silence. And that silence has been the most devastating weapon in this entire war. While the internet raged on her behalf, pundits dissected every excuse the committee gave. While Sophie, Cunningham, and others reportedly pushed back behind the scenes, Caitlin Clark went back to work. She broke assist records, she put up triple-doubles. She played basketball at a level that made every excuse the committee offered look ridiculous in real time.
Caitlin Clark, the all-time leading scorer in major college basketball history. Queen Caitlin.
She didn't need to say a word because her game said everything. And every deep three was an answer. Every no-look pass was a statement. Every sold-out arena was a reminder of what Team USA left on the table. The numbers told the story better than any press conference ever could. Record-breaking assist totals, historic triple-doubles. Fan engagement metrics that dwarfed anything the league had seen in its entire existence. While the committee members dodged questions from reporters, while they stumbled through rehearsed talking points about experience and fit, Caitlin Clark was writing her rebuttal in box scores and highlight reels. Her critics wanted her to crack. They wanted her to act like the spoiled rookie they had painted her as. Instead, she gave them a masterclass in composure. And by taking the high road, she didn't just win the PR battle, she turned the entire league's pettiness into her origin story.
Her mark here, and it's just incredible to see all the fans and how much she's just put into working, and then the impact she's had on this city is just amazing to see.
The shadow over the games. The cruelest irony of this entire saga played out in real time on the court at Bercy Arena in Paris. The committee excluded Clark specifically to avoid the media circus. They wanted the focus on the team, on the legacy, on the mission, and instead they created a distraction 10 times bigger than anything Clark's presence would have caused. Let's talk about what actually happened in Paris. Team USA barely survived. In the gold medal game against France on August 11th, the Americans trailed by as many as 10 points in the second half. The French defense suffocated them, forcing turnover after turnover, exposing exactly the kind of ball handling and playmaking gaps that a player like Clark could have filled. Aja Wilson had to carry the entire team, finishing with 21 points, 13 rebounds, and 4 blocks just to keep them alive. Kalia Copper scored 10 of her 12 points in a desperate fourth-quarter rally, and on the final play, Gabby Williams banked in a shot at the buzzer that would have sent it to overtime, except her foot was on the three-point line. It counted for 2 instead of 3. Team USA won 67-66 by a single point, by inches. That is not dominance, that is survival. And the entire time, every stagnant possession, every missed connection, the internet erupted with the same refrain. Clark would have found the open shooter. Caitlin would have broken that press. Even selection committee member Dawn Staley admitted it afterward, telling NBC that if they had to do it over again, with the way Clark was playing,
she's going to lift that league up as well. So Caitlin Clark, if you're out there, one of the GOATs of our games.
She would have been in very high consideration because she was performing head and shoulders above many of the players they chose. A committee member said on national television that they got it wrong. Meanwhile, back in the States, the WNBA All-Star Game, where Clark played against the Olympians, drew 3.44 million viewers on ABC, shattering the previous record of 1.44 million from 2003. The game featuring the player they left behind pulled more eyeballs than anything the league had produced in 2 decades. During that season, ESPN and ABC saw a 163% increase in WNBA viewership, and Clark was involved in all but 3 of the 23 games that topped 1 million viewers. The Fever, a team that averaged roughly 4,000 fans per home game the year before, exploded to over 17,000 after drafting Clark, setting a league record with over 340,000 total home attendance. 4 different teams moved home games against Indiana to NBA arenas just to meet ticket demand. And the committee looked at all of that and said no thanks. The players who made the roster won gold, and they deserved every bit of it. But the headline was never about their triumph. It was about the ghost of the woman who was not on the plane. That is the paradox the committee built with their own hands. By trying to erase Clark from the narrative, they made her the only narrative. And the veterans wanted the stage to themselves. But by removing the person the world wanted to see, they guaranteed the spotlight would never truly land on them, no matter how bright it shone. What comes next? So where does this go from here? The cracks are showing. The old guard is losing its grip, and the evidence is everywhere. If Sophie Cunningham, a player with nothing to gain and everything to lose, is willing to stand against the establishment, it means the locker room is shifting. It means the silent majority inside the WNBA is getting louder. For years, this league operated like a sorority. You paid your dues, you followed the hierarchy, and eventually you got your moment. But money changes everything. Attention changes everything. And Caitlin Clark brought both in amounts the league has never seen. The players who benefit from that attention, from those sold-out arenas and those bigger TV deals, are starting to realize that the gatekeepers are not protecting the sport. They are holding it hostage. The jersey number 12 incident is not an isolated event. It is a symptom of a much deeper disease, envy. It is hard to watch someone walk in and receive, in 10 minutes, what you worked 10 years to earn. That is human nature. But it is the job of the league, the administrators, the committee, to manage those emotions, not to weaponize them. And they failed. They let ego drive a decision that should have been driven by merit and marketing. So they chose comfort over greatness. And the result is a PR disaster that will follow them for years. The videos discussing this snub pull more views than the actual Olympic highlights. Let that sink in. The controversy about who was not on the team generates more interest than the games themselves. That tells you everything about what the fans actually care about. They care about fairness, they care about seeing the best players play, and they care about calling out injustice when they see it. But maybe in the long run, this is the best thing that could have happened to Caitlin Clark. Because every great athlete needs a villain, every dynasty needs an origin story built on disrespect. Michael Jordan had the teams that passed on him. Tom Brady had the 199th pick.
Pretty objectively in football, the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Picked 199th in the draft.
And now Caitlin Clark has jersey number 12. She has the committee that tried to humble her. She has the league that tried to make her small. And she will carry that chip on her shoulder into every game, every season, in every record she breaks from now until the day she retires. The next generation of players is watching all of this unfold. Young women in high school gyms across the country are seeing how the best player in the world was treated by her own league. Some will be discouraged, but the ones who matter, the ones with that same fire in their belly, will see Caitlin Clark's response, and they will learn the most important lesson sports can teach. The best revenge is not anger. It is excellent. It is showing up every single night and being so undeniably great that your critics run out of excuses. That is what Clark is doing. And that is what will define the next chapter of women's basketball. The jersey was meant to be a warning. Number 12 was supposed to remind everyone where they thought Caitlin Clark belonged. But the warning backfired. Change doesn't ask permission. Progress doesn't wait for comfort. And the people who tried to contain her learned that the future cannot be caged. And so here's the question to leave you with. How long before the league fully adapts, and who will be left behind when it does? Think about that, because this story is far from over, and the next chapter is already in motion.